My Melanin. For those of you who don't know, that means well met, my friend in Elvish. And today I am going to talk about the Jungian Archetypes. And we see it in Lord of the Rings through the different characters, such as Arwen as the lover, and we have Samwise as the caregiver, and then we also have Merry and Pippin as the everyday man type. And we see a lot of characters take on these different characteristics. And an archetype, if you have not seen my other videos, it is a certain type of patterns of behavior and traits and qualities that the whole collective of the world recognizes. And so we take on these different types of archetypes within our being, and sometimes we don't even know we're doing it. So Jung wanted to bring to light the different archetypes that people take into their soul, and you can also get to the true soul behind all those archetypes, because the archetypes have good and bad within them, in the idea that you can play a certain role, but when you are so invested in that role and taking on that particular soul type in your life, sometimes you miss the higher self that is really the true self that you should be in touch with in order to kind of detach yourself from the emotional drama that you get involved in. Now, the archetypes that I'm going to talk about tonight are really the ones that are mainly concerned with the idea of community and unity. Because as we look at the way that the universe is, there is a very strong purpose for us to know one another and to connect to other souls. And so we have certain types of soul types that represent that part of the universe of our molecules coming together and sharing the same space as one another and experiencing emotions as love and family relationships and friendships. And so you have to have particular soul types in this world that are focused on driving that purpose of experience. And so these are the archetypes. First, I'll talk about the Lover Archetype. There are many of you that actually embody this archetype. Arwen was a very strong archetype of this, in that she embraced the idea that love was truly the end to everything, and it was far more important to her to actually be with the love of her life rather than keep to her duties of her elven people and move to Valinor, where they were all heading. And so Arwen, she fought for love. She gave up her immortality for love in order to live a mortal life and be with Aragorn for at least just one lifetime, whereas elves are known to live forever on Arda until they decide to move on to the Undying Lands. And so Arwen represents somebody that embodies the idea that love is the end-all, be-all of all experiences, and they will do everything in their power to ensure the love is given to others, love is experienced in their life. So many people do take on this archetype, and you may feel very connected to Arwen and to characters like hers in stories and in movies when you actually embody this archetype. The lover is the archetype that we will take when we are hopeless romantics, and there is a very wonderful thing about this experience. We have an experience of a very rich inner world that takes us on a journey deep into the depths of the emotional highs of love. But we can also experience the emotional lows of love. And so you can get too attached to people and you can cause your own suffering, because sometimes in our experiences, love does not last forever. So the goal of the Lover Archetype, if you are taking on this role right now, the goal would be for you to recognize this within yourself and to be able to see when you are putting yourself towards a relationship that is not good for you, but you're simply trying to embody the values of being a lover and really seeing love everywhere, which is a very positive thing. But when we get too attached to that and we move through the subconscious programming of being a lover, we can get really involved in those relationships, and we can get really involved with that type of vision of this life. And sometimes you can end up giving your own self and your life for the very idea of love. One of the most wonderful things about this archetype is that you are in touch with a greater sense of spirituality, that you can really embrace the idea that we come from love and that creation is love and God is love. And you can easily see that in everything, in religion and in the way that society runs. And you can also notice when there is the absence of love as well. And you could be somebody that brings forward love into others' lives, but you don't want to become a martyr for love and forget why you are here to experience this and your higher self. Because the moment that you forget your higher self, you're pulled into those emotional depths of really wallowing in the suffering state of losing love, of not getting enough love, of feeling that there's a lack of love, of feeling you're unlovable. And that is the most depressive state for somebody who embodies the archetype of the lover. And that can drive the soul that takes on that archetype as the lover into great bouts of depression and feeling very, very lost in their own life. And only when they get a hold of themselves into the idea of there's something beyond love that they are searching for, that there's something that can go in partnership with love, but that beyond love, there is also a greater awareness of the self, to be just an observer over your life and over the world. And so I hope that that helps some of the souls that are taking on this archetype of the lover. I know I went through it, and the goal is really to be able to see yourself in these roles and these positions from a higher perspective, so that you don't get so engrossed in it that you kind of lose a sense of who you truly are. You are actually a pure consciousness being that can embody all the archetypes, and it depends on where your focus is and what your choice is in your life experience of what you want to experience in that particular time and moment. So just remember that being the lover archetype is a wonderful experience, and you can have a really rich inner life that sees love everywhere, in all poems, in songs. You know, every song that plays about love, you will feel it deep within you. Every poem that speaks to you about love, you'll understand it and have this greater emotional experience, being able to connect to it. And movies about love and love stories and romance, and especially The Lord of the Rings, you will feel a great connection to. And I want you to be able to experience that. It's wonderful too, but be able to move beyond that as well and see that when love doesn't go quite the way that you planned for it, and when relationships have to move on because other souls have their own journeys to go on, and maybe it's not the right time for you, you could pull yourself away and you can kind of see things from a higher understanding of really what's going on in your life. And you won't become so depressed and so down. And there are people in our world that have killed themselves over the loss of love. And that's not going to help you either. So just remember that you're embodying that role for a particular time, for a particular experience. And it can be wonderful, but the moment that it causes you suffering and pain, allow yourself to have a higher perspective of who you really truly are. The next archetype I want to speak about is the caregiver. The caregiver archetype is one that will embody the Earth Angel archetype. They feel they have to care for everyone, and Samwise was a great example of this. This is what made him so endearing of a character, is that he cared so much for Frodo, and that he was with him all the way till the end, like a guardian angel watching over his shoulder and making sure that he was making the right choices and staying on the right path. And within this archetype is a really wonderful, deep experience of caring for others and being there for others. And you get this satisfaction within you that you're helping others. And I definitely took on this archetype for a while. But what you need to understand is that beyond that archetype is your true self. So being able to play that role in people's lives and know where it is coming from, so that that program in the back of your mind is not just running instantly and causing you to act a certain way or react a certain way, but that you're aware of that kind of internal subconscious program. And taking on the guardian caretaker type of archetype, like I said, it is a wonderful role to play. And we need them in our society because they are the ones that will feel bad for the downtrodden and will help those that are the underdogs of society, and will speak out for those without a voice, and will care for the stray animals and the orphan children. They will be the caretakers. They are the bleeding hearts for others, and we absolutely need that. But what happens is sometimes the caretaker will have a really hard time in their life when they realize that other souls are on their other journeys and they're not really appreciating their care, and they start to actually be taken advantage of by other souls. And so this causes the caretaker soul to feel really depressed and really doubtful about themselves. Like the lover was questioning, well, are they truly lovable? Then the caretaker will question, well, am I really truly a good caretaker of others? Am I really truly this way that I want to be? Am I really truly that helpful towards others? And when you start to doubt yourself, you get lower and lower into those dimensions where you sit and you suffer with your emotions. And the real goal is to be able to experience your role as a guardian, as a caretaker of others, but not be so engrossed in it that you forget your higher self as the ultimate observer, observing and watching your life when you're taking on these roles. And you're also going to be able to step outside of relationships that are kind of taking advantage of that within you, that you want to take care of others and you care for others so much, but there's other souls that are not going to take on that role. And they'll use you for what you have to give them. They will play the role of the user or the manipulator for a time. And really, it's kind of a mirror to you to show you the imbalance that is occurring in your life, that you're giving too much energy away, you're giving too much of your power away, and you're really giving all of yourself, but there's nothing left for yourself. And that is really the problem with that archetype. It is a beautiful archetype to be and a role to have, and a lot of people will appreciate it, and we absolutely need those souls. Please keep on playing those roles, but also know when you are being taken advantage of, and when you are getting too engrossed in that role, that you're taking on that label and you're not seeing yourself as a multi-dimensional being that actually has the ability to be lots of different things, that you're not just a caretaker, but you're a creator yourself, and that you have every right to create in your life what you want to experience without always thinking about the needs of others and giving up of yourself before you take care of yourself, which is really some of the problems. Make sure that the caretaker takes care of themselves and really ensures that they are okay and they're in a good place to be able to help others. The other archetype that I wanted to talk about today was the Everyman Archetype. Now this one's interesting, and you see it in the Hobbits, and you see it in some of the side characters of Lord of the Rings. And especially in the friends of Frodo. They kind of come on this journey and they really don't have like a personal goal about it, and they don't even really see they're a special part of it. And this is the problem with this archetype. This archetype, if you're embodying this right now, I am going to be a mirror to you to show you that you're far more special than you realize. Because this everyday archetype will think of themselves as just kind of a normal citizen, and they don't really have any special gifts or abilities. And a lot of times those will be the ones that will follow the leaders and the people in charge. And especially if you work for a corporation, these are the people that get really kind of into this routine of living their life for others because they don't understand their importance and their specific gifts and abilities that they have to share. And so I would caution the everyday man or woman to recognize your specialness in this, because Merry and Pippin, even though they might have not seen themselves in this way and in this light at all, they were crucial to Frodo's journey, and they really helped out in a lot of ways. They were the ones that spoke to the Ents and got the Ents involved. When the Everyman archetype is inside of a soul, and a soul has this kind of realization about their own personal power, that's when they will take on other types of roles, and they'll become a ruler or a leader or, a sage. And so it's about their evolution into these other roles that give them more of this sense of personal power, so that they're not just an everyday citizen wandering around, living their life and not thinking about their higher self. And that is really what is the goal for that archetype, is to be able to grow out of that experience of being just kind of a nobody and not having any type of true gifts to themselves, and discovering what is it that they are here as a creator to experience. And that really will help the every man archetype or every woman archetype within somebody that feels like they're nobody special. Well, I have news for you. Everyone on earth is special in their own way. We are all pure consciousness in bodily form, and we're here to play and to create and to see what we can do with each of our gifts and our abilities that have been divided in order to experience the collective together. So I hope that this helped you and kind of deprogram you a bit. If you are embodying these archetypes within right now, I say play those roles. We need them in society. They bring people together. They connect people and bring friendship and love and family relations. And they really are important. But to be able to look at those archetypes from a higher perspective and see, well, they're just labels. They're just patterns of behaviors that you are taking on right now for a particular role in Earth. But there is something beyond even that, and it is your multidimensional self. And so when you can get in touch with that, you can take on other roles then and play other roles if being involved in those types of relationships as those roles are causing you suffering and pain. Then you should take on the role of the sage or the magician or the creator, maybe even the trickster if you have to. And that way you can gain back some of that personal power that you start to lose when you give too much of yourself to others and you forget about your higher self. And really, that's really just a mirror for you to wake up and to remember once again who you truly are. So, Hat and Lay for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next video.